How to improve your quality of life. Get off the couch and turn off the TV.
I'm watching my favorite show.
Eat a vegetable.
Well, this is hell.
Exercise. And of course,
Change your thinking, change your life.
Thinking, change your life. That is what we preach around here, yes? But first, the joke. Man goes up to a restaurant and sees this old guy sitting by a puddle fishing. Feeling sorry for the guy, he invites him in to eat. And while they're sitting and eating, he decides, he'll humor the guy and goes, "So how many have you caught today?" He goes, "Well, you're the fourth." How to improve quality. Receptivity prayer. Thank you. Let's say this together. I am open to the evolution of my soul. My heart is open. My heart is receptive. My next step is here and now. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you. So, what I want to talk about today is not simple. It has paradox involved in it, but I felt it was important. And it certainly is what has been up for me, and it's always best to talk about what's up for me when I'm talking. Now, like last week, there'll be time at the end for you guys to talk, to ask questions, to interact with what I'm about to speak to. Because what I want to talk about today is, our movement is all about demonstration. Everything we talk about here is about demonstration. We want to do treatment so we can demonstrate. We want to do treatment so we can have the new car, the new job, the new relationship. Have it so that fire doesn't hit our house. And yet, all those things are circumstances. And I promise you that there is not a single circumstance that will improve the quality of your life. Okay, this thing's still feeding back, which means there's either something else on. There we go. Maybe it's just bent the wrong way or something. I don't know. Is that better? Good. John D. Rockefeller, back in the 20s, was the richest man on the planet, had more money than anyone else. And when he was interviewed, the interviewer asked him, he said, "You show up to work at 6 a.m. every day. You work till 8 p.m. every night. You have more money than you could ever spend in your lifetime. Why are you here, working so hard?" And his answer was, "I'm afraid of being poor." The circumstance was he had more money than anybody else on the planet. The quality of life he held was fear. He did not hold abundance as a quality. Then you have Jesus, who never walked around with bags of money with him, simply knowing that whatever he needed would show up. And it did, because he had the quality. I was talking to somebody the other day who was talking to me about freedom, and what they were saying was all the different things that freedom would give them, and I said, those are circumstances. A circumstance will never give you freedom. There's this man named Hurricane Carter. He was arrested for a murder he did not commit. and spent 22 years in prison before finally released. After 20 years, he had finished a book, and in the book, he stated that I am the freest I have ever felt in my life. He was still in prison. And yet his statement was that I feel and experience freedom more than ever before in my life. That is a quality, not attached to a circumstance. When you embody a quality that is not attached to a circumstance, your life blossoms. Our lives really grow in those moments. We feel alive and enlightened in ways that we cannot experience if what we are attaching our goodness to is a circumstance. Two years later, he was released. Not surprising, given once we actually embody the quality, then the circumstances actually do fall into line. But there are many of us in this movement who think it's supposed to somehow work the other way around, that as long as we treat and focus and take those steps, we're going to demonstrate, and somehow in demonstrating whatever it is we're going to demonstrate, because you can demonstrate stuff and still not feel it, and still not experience the quality of it. That is proven time and time again. And so what we want is to dive in a way that we can truly feel it. I was watching pardon me for a second here. I was watching a video on Facebook made by our own Karen Frost, where she is talking about how she doesn't want to be judging herself, that what she's talking about is not judging, while she was in the midst of judging herself. And I saw that video and I thought, this is somebody who is going for the quality of self-love. And that's what we want to be going for. Not how it looks, not how it shows up. And those things follow, because Karen is in a magnificent marriage, loves her job, her ministry is exploding. She's got more going on, she's loving life, and yet where her focus of attention is on quality, not those demonstrations that, of course, show up when we're focused on the qualities instead of the demonstrations. So that's really the key to this whole thing, is to keep our eye on the ball, and the ball is not the demonstration. Sure, if you keep your eye on the demonstration, you will get the demonstration. But if you get the demonstration, have not grown the quality within you, what happens then? Where's the feelings of joy and happiness? Sure, you might in that moment when you first get that demonstration, but then a little time passes. And then what? If you haven't embodied the quality. So to improve the quality of life, you got to focus on the quality, not the circumstance. So we got all these people who are dealing with their houses burning down, losing property, and some losing their lives. The ones who will rise from this, as Karen was saying, our this week's affirmation I sent out in the newsletter was, no matter what the circumstance, I rise. And so that's what we want to be doing, right? Yes? We want to be rising. Given, we get these incredible opportunities in life to either rise or fall, and it's up to us to choose. We can say, I have no choice here. I just feel lousy. This is bringing me down. There's always choice there. I was watching this story, another video on Facebook, about this guy who was doing a TED Talk who said that when he was 6, he was diagnosed with terminal cancer. And his mom, when the doctor said, take your boy home and just cuddle him and hold him because he's going to die, said, well, I want to know the exact percentages here. And so the doctor said, okay, well, if you want to know the exact percentages, 96% rate of death. And she decided to go 4% he might live. And focused on that. And shortly thereafter, there was a trial of a new drug that had never been used on people before that was specific for children, and they wanted 25 kids to try it out on. So his mom got him into this trial in which 24 of the children died. Then when he survived that, the doctor said, your son will never be able to play baseball, he'll never have a normal life, he'll never be able to do anything because this even though he survived this, it's weakened his immune system and his body to the point where there is no recovery point here. Well, the kid's dream was to play baseball in America. He was growing up in Australia. And his mom was all about that dream. So she kept supporting him and started out by giving him a Velcro glove. A Velcro glove. Try saying that 3 times fast. And just tossing him a Velcro ball, which stuck. He threw it back. She kept moving back further and further. Finally got him a real ball and glove. They started playing that. He started hitting. He had his first heart attack at 12. But he kept at it. In fact, he kept at it so much, he got signed to a minor league club in Arizona, wound up flying over here, and during his first season, on a slide into second base, woke up 3 days later in the hospital to find out that he had another heart attack and couldn't play baseball anymore. So he went on to get a job in banking in Australia and wound up running the biggest bank Australia has. The odds were against him every step of the way. Some people might say, well, geez, he didn't get to really achieve his dream. Well, actually, he thinks he did, because he did get to play. He thinks that the fact he has a life at all that's flourishing, he's a millionaire and has houses and gets to buy his mom anything she wants, makes him incredibly successful. But all those circumstances that he could have let bring him down, he could have let, drop him out, tough circumstances. Those people whose houses are burning down, those are tough circumstances. I'm not up here saying they're light. I'm not up here saying they're easy. There was another shooting at Thousand Oaks Bar. 12 people died. We have tough circumstances going on in our world today, and yet what we have here is a teaching that allows us to embody a quality of knowing that something good must come of this. And that something good is every time we rise. That something good is every time we help a neighbor. Every time we have a prayer out. Like Karen was saying, when we take somebody into our homes, whatever you can do, when you do that, you have risen. And the quality of not only your life, but the quality of the entire planet has gotten better, has grown. That's the beauty of all this, is when we focus on the quality instead of the circumstance. There will be those who go through their circumstances feeling it rough, feeling it hard, allowing it to bring them down. And there will be others who rise, who go, great, this is a blessing, this is an opportunity. Okay, I spent the last 3 years building this house that just burned to the ground, but now I get to do it again. I'll even do something better this time. And there'll be others who'll go, woe is me. That was 3 years gone down the tubes. I have nothing to go forward with. This is going to be so hard. I promise you that if you take on the quality of this is going to be so hard, it will be. And then there'll be others who will take on the quality of, yes, I get to keep going. I have another opportunity to rise here. I have another opportunity to improve, another opportunity to do it better, another opportunity to give back, another opportunity to do more for my neighbor, another opportunity to give more to my family. And those people's lives will rise. Because what I've noticed is every single time we embody a quality, instead of focusing on a circumstance, the circumstances get better. Now, what that better looks like, and here's another paradox for you, can actually be different from what you expected. A man named Stephen Levine wrote a book called Who Dies? And in the book, he talks a lot about spiritual healing that sometimes translates into physical healing and sometimes translates into people moving, transitioning to whatever comes next. One of the things that is, I think, hardest for us as humans is not being able to see the entire picture, because the picture is larger than us. I mean, we're talking about the same force that made the universe. I just heard that they're learning more about black holes and how as a universe begins, as a galaxy begins to devolve, as it begins to end and transition into something else, a black hole develops in the middle of it that just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I was thinking about that, and I was thinking how we're all headed towards a black hole. Well, probably not in our lifetime. You know, it may take longer than, the next 50 years for that to happen. But the important point about that, the reason I bring it up, is there's always a bigger picture. It doesn't matter what it is. There's always something more going on, hugely more going on than we can possibly imagine. And so sometimes what we think is where we should be headed, we get headed in a different direction and we don't even know why. But if we use that circumstance to rise, it'll show itself in ways that we can't even imagine, and our lives all of a sudden shine in ways that we didn't even think was possible. Because that's what we have the ability of that's going on here, to have our lives shine in ways that we didn't even think was possible. This guy's, there were so many doctors who said this person's life was never going to become what it was. There were so many, there are so many people in prison who did not experience the freedom of Hurricane Carter as he experienced it in prison. When we remember that we are divine, when we remember that we are more than who we think we are, when we look beyond any particular circumstance to the larger divinity that is ours to embrace, to live from, because this is about our expression. Love is not just something to get. It is a way to express life. Even in moments when what's going on pisses you off. I know that that's true for me, that I get upset about something and I am more and more remembering the word opportunity. That this is a real important piece for me in my life, and I encourage you to make it in yours. that whenever you are feeling less than joyously in heaven about life and its beauty, think of the word opportunity. Because it doesn't matter what the circumstance is. There's a quality there for you to take on that will allow you to rise, to be more than who you are in the moment you're thinking of the word opportunity. That happens for me all the time. I think of this word opportunity and I go, okay, time for me to rise again. And I know that sometimes the way the first thing that comes to me is, how come I'm always the one that has to rise?
You too?
Yes. And the reason being, I'm the one who wants to feel that way of being in life. I'm the one who wants to heal. I'm the one who wants to experience the largeness of the divine within me, which means I'm the guy who keep rising. Which means you could be the one that continues to rise because you're the one who's showing up, who wants that divinity to be more and more expressed through you, even when you're wishing it was the other person who was doing the rising. But if the other person is doing the rising, then you're not doing the healing. To do the healing, you got to do the rising. So whenever you think there is a quality out there through a circumstance that if only this circumstance came about, then life would be good. Use that as the opportunity. No, that can't be. There's a quality here for me to embody. There is a quality here for me to embrace. There is a quality here for me to support myself in rising to a bigger self. And when you do that, there is no end to the magnificent, the majesty, and the beauty that your life can be. I love you. All right, hold on, sit down, sit down. This is question and answer time. Who wants to say something? Who's got a question? Anything? Anything at all? Come on. This is your chance to talk back to the minister. Anybody? Come on. Yes, Christiana.
So I don't need a microphone.
Yeah, you do, because then they don't hear you online. That's what we learned last week.
What?
They don't hear you online, streaming,
Oh, okay.
if you don't talk in the mic.
So basically, our philosophy is such that we can demonstrate. However, it's what's inside and what comes out in that demonstration first is that your opportunity is to rise up and be more than you can be and then demonstrate, or?
The demonstrations will take care of themselves
Okay.
if you are rising inside yourself.
Got it. So
That's what I'm saying about that.
excellent.
And the demonstration may be different than what you thought it would be because your higher self is always bringing you towards. We have an internal GPS that is not bringing us towards what we think might look like a successful life, but bringing us towards the opportunities that will allow us to rise to be the best we can be in this life. For us to be.
Divine guidance.
Yes. Yes, Alan.
I was just going to say the rising and the embodiment of the quality, the manifestation is just a byproduct of that.
Yes, exactly. The manifestation is a byproduct. Anybody else? We got time for one more. Anybody? Yes.
This is a little story about demonstration and holding that belief. A few weeks ago, I was asked to intercede in sending some money to Florida. And so I did. Well, the next day, of course, we know the hurricane happened. And so this was kind of an emergency because this was money that these people needed. And so immediately I get a call the next day from the person that asked me to intercede and said, well, the money hasn't gotten there yet. And I said, well, there are some circumstances, but you know, we can treat and know that everything is going to be okay because there's going to be a lot of circumstances probably we're going to have to work through to have this mail delivered. So this went on for a whole week. Every other day, this person is calling me to say, is it there, and do you think we should, you know, cancel the money order? And what I said, well, let's just let this thing work itself out. There are a lot of things happening, and it'll be okay through treatment. So about 10 days later, finally, it was sort of, I felt sort of like Jesus, well, I'm going to do this not for me, but I'm going to do it just to prove to you. So what I could do is I asked my mail manager something that we could do to trace this. And he said, do you have a trace number? No, it's not a package, it's a letter. He said, well, I'll give you the number to the US Post Office. And I thought, well, okay. So he gave me the number, and I called the lady, and she says, if you don't have a tracking number, there's nothing we can do. And so I said, well, could you give me the number to the post office in Tallahassee, where the letter was going? And she said, well, okay. So I called the Tallahassee post office. The lady says, do you have a tracking number? And I said, no. She said, well, there's nothing we can do. So I'm not giving up, because I know that the demonstration is going to be a positive outcome. So I kind of paused, and she said, I said, well, if I give you the area code, would that help? She said, well,
Zip code.
Okay, the zip code. So I gave her the zip code, and she said, what is the address? And I told her the address. She said, that's my route. It'll be delivered today.
Quality embraced, demonstration shows up. Once you know, you know, you know, that's how it works. That's what's possible.
If you don't ask, you don't get.
Well, there is that too. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you all. All right, let's move on to our next section here. And feel free to come up to me afterwards, talk to me more. Okay, this is the point of the program. You take out what you're going to give, and you hold it in your hand, you unfold it. It's important to unfold it because this is power. You don't crinkle it up to throw it in the basket. It doesn't matter whether it's $1, $100, $1,000, $1 million. You want to uncrinkle it, even if it's a mill. Hold it in your hand. This is power. This is how we get the law of circulation going as we repeat our affirmation. God is the source of all supply. Money is God in action. What we give, we receive multiplied abundantly. All that God is, I am, and so it is.